I need to get this off my chest. My wedding is supposed to be in 3 months, but now it's turned into a complete nightmare. The backstory to this situation is long and complicated, but it's important to understand how we got here. I, 32F, grew up as an only child for 12 years in what seemed like a perfect middle-class family. My parents both worked decent jobs, and while we weren't rich, we were comfortable. I was their whole world. They took me to dance classes, helped with homework, and genuinely seemed interested in my life. Looking back, those first 12 years were the happiest of my childhood. Everything changed when my sister Carrie, now 25F, was born. My parents had been trying for another baby for years without success, and Carrie was their miracle child. From the moment she arrived, it was like I became invisible. My mom took an extended leave from work to stay home with Carrie, something she never did with me. My dad spent all his free time doting on her. I went from being their beloved only child to essentially becoming a built-in babysitter overnight. As Carrie grew up, the favoritism became more obvious. When I needed new clothes for school, my mom would take me to discount stores and tell me to be practical. But Carrie got designer labels because she was more sensitive about her appearance. When I wanted to take piano lessons like my friends, I was told we couldn't afford it. But when Carrie showed interest in multiple instruments, my parents bought her a piano and a violin. The pattern continued through our teens. I had to work at the local grocery store during high school to afford my prom dress. Carrie got a custom-made gown for hers. I had to take out student loans for college while living in a cramped dorm room with 3 other girls. Carrie got a fully paid ride to a private university and lived in a single room because she needed her space to study. Despite the obvious favoritism, I tried to be a good big sister. I helped Carrie with her homework, drove her to her various activities when our parents were busy, and even defended her against bullies at school. But Carrie grew up to be exactly what you'd expect from someone who never heard the word no, entitled, spoiled, and always wanting more. She developed this weird habit of copying everything I did. If I got a new phone, she'd cry until our parents bought her a better model. When I started wearing a particular brand of makeup, she had to have the entire collection. She even started taking the same college classes as me when she got to university, despite being in a completely different major. Now to the current disaster. I got engaged to Trent, 34M, last year. We met at a work conference 4 years ago and hit it off immediately. He's kind, successful, and most importantly, he understands my family dynamics without judging me for them. We both have good jobs in finance and have been saving for our dream wedding at this gorgeous historic mansion by the lake. It's expensive, about $45,000 in total, but we can afford it because we've been careful with our money and have both been saving since before we got engaged. Last week, Carrie announced she's engaged too. She's been dating Mark, 26M, for only 6 months. They met at a coffee shop where Mark works as a barista while trying to start his own business. Carrie works as a part-time yoga instructor and still lives with our parents because she says rent in our city is too expensive. They can barely afford their daily expenses, let alone a wedding. My mom invited me to lunch yesterday, and I should have known something was up because she offered to pay. She never does that for just me. After some small talk about wedding plans, she dropped her bomb. She suggested that since Carrie and Mark can't afford a nice wedding, they should share my venue and get married on the same day. Her exact words were, "You already have everything planned and paid for, so adding a few more people won't cost much. Carrie can have her ceremony in the morning, and you can have yours in the evening. It would be so special for 2 sisters to share their special day." I was speechless. When I finally found my voice, I immediately said no. This is my wedding that I've been planning and saving for. Every detail has been carefully chosen and budgeted. But my mom wouldn't take no for an answer. She kept pushing, saying things like, "Carrie has always looked up to you and this could be a wonderful bonding opportunity." When I still refused, she called my dad and put him on speakerphone. I thought he would be more reasonable, but he made it worse. He said I was being selfish and reminded me how they've always taught us to share. He even had the nerve to say, as the older sister, "It's your responsibility to help Carrie have her dream wedding. Your mother and I raised you better than this." What makes me even angrier is that Carrie didn't even have the courage to ask me herself. Just like she's done her entire life, she got our parents to fight her battle. When I left the lunch and called her to confront her, she just shrugged it off saying, "Well, you've always had everything better than me, so it's only fair. Besides, you can afford it and I can't." The situation has spiraled out of control because my mom revealed they've already mentioned this plan to Carrie's future in-laws. They told Mark's parents that the weddings would be a joint celebration, making it seem like it was already a done deal. Now everyone's pressuring me to agree because canceling would embarrass them in front of Mark's family. My parents are threatening to withdraw their contribution to my wedding, About $2,000, a small fraction of the total cost, if I don't comply. They keep saying I'm being dramatic and that sharing is caring. Carrie has started posting passive-aggressive messages on social media about how some people don't understand family loyalty and only think about themselves. Trent is furious about how my family is treating me, but he's letting me handle it my way since he knows how complicated family dynamics can be. I've stopped answering their calls, but they've enlisted every family member they can think of to convince me. My aunts, uncles, and cousins keep calling and texting, telling me I should be more understanding of Carrie's situation. I feel like I'm living in some alternate reality where everyone thinks it's perfectly normal to demand someone share their wedding day. My parents have always favored Carrie, but this takes it to a whole new level. Am I really being selfish for not wanting to share my wedding day? Should I just give in and keep the peace? My entire family seems to think I'm the bad guy here, but this is my wedding that I've worked hard and saved for. I haven't slept properly in days because of this stress. Trent suggests we elope, but why should I have to give up my dream wedding because my sister can't afford her own? I just don't know what to do anymore. Update 1 first, I want to thank everyone for their support on my original post. Many of you advised me to stand firm about my wedding plans, and that's exactly what I did. But things have escalated far beyond anything I could have imagined. After my last post, I sent a clear message to my family. I told them that my wedding date and venue were non-negotiable, and any further discussion about sharing them with Carrie would result in them losing their invitation to the wedding. My parents and Carrie seemed to back off. They stopped calling constantly, and the relatives they'd enlisted retreated. I foolishly thought the drama was over and focused on finalizing the remaining wedding details. I was wrong. Yesterday morning, I received a frantic call from Sarah, my wedding planner. She sounded confused and asked if I had changed my email address recently. I hadn't. That's when she forwarded me an email chain that made my blood run cold. Carrie had created an email address almost identical to mine, just one letter different, and had been corresponding with Sarah for over a week, posing as me. She requested multiple meetings to discuss changes to my wedding plans. When Sarah initially refused to make major changes without a phone confirmation, Carrie sent her a long email claiming she had lost her phone and could only communicate via email due to work restrictions. The emails were detailed and calculated. Carrie wanted to change my burgundy and gold color scheme to pink and white because apparently pink would photograph better. She tried to move my 5 p.m. ceremony to 7 p.m. to make room for her morning ceremony. She attempted to cancel my hired band to save money for a second photographer. She even tried to reduce my guest list by 50 people to make room for her essential guests, and wanted to change my seated dinner to a buffet because it would be more efficient for 2 weddings. She went as far as trying to cancel my makeup artist and hairstylist, claiming she had found better options. I later discovered these were her friends who had agreed to do both weddings for a cheaper rate. With shaking hands, I called my parents. Their response left me speechless and honestly feeling like I was living in some twisted reality. Instead of being shocked or angry at Carrie's deception, they defended her. My mom actually said that if I had just agreed to share in the first place, Carrie wouldn't have had to do this. She claimed Carrie was just trying to make the best of the situation I created by being difficult. My dad suggested I should stop being so controlling and let Carrie take over the planning since she has more free time and creative ideas. I immediately went into damage control mode. I spent hours calling the venue to password protect all details and instructing them not to make any changes without verbal confirmation from both me and Trent. I had to contact all vendors to alert them about potential fraud and set up security passwords. I checked with the bank for any unauthorized charges or changes to my wedding fund. I even had to send an embarrassing email to all my guests warning them about potential confusion or misinformation. While dealing with this mess, I discovered something that made me physically sick. My parents had already put down deposits with several vendors for Carrie's wedding using my wedding date and venue. Remember that $2,000 they contributed to my wedding? They used it to pay these deposits, effectively trying to force my hand by creating financial obligations. They paid deposits for a morning ceremony set up at my venue, hired a second photographer, ordered a smaller cake for my baker, arranged additional flowers from my florist, and even booked a breakfast catering service. When I confronted them about this unauthorized use of funds, they were completely unapologetic. They said they knew I would eventually come around, so they wanted to secure everything before prices increased. They actually expected me to be grateful that they were being proactive about the arrangements. Carrie's response to being caught was equally infuriating. Instead of apologizing, she burst into tears and accused me of being cruel. She's telling everyone that I'm being mean because I'm jealous that she's younger and that her fiancé has better business prospects than Trent. Apparently, Mark's theoretical future business versus Trent's actual successful career makes him the better catch in her delusional mind. She's playing the victim on social media, posting things like some people can't handle sharing the spotlight and blood isn't always thicker than water when money is involved. Our extended family is once again taking her side, saying I'm being dramatic about a few email exchanges and that I should be flattered she wants to copy my wedding so badly. Trent is beyond furious. He wants me to press charges for fraud and identity theft, saying this crosses all reasonable boundaries. But despite everything, I'm hesitant to take legal action against my own sister. However, I've contacted my bank to dispute any charges my parents made in my name, changed all my wedding-related passwords, and set up two-factor authentication on my email. I've also instructed all vendors to require photo ID for any in-person meetings. I've officially uninvited my parents and Carrie from the wedding. I sent them formal letters stating they are no longer welcome at my wedding and that any attempt to attend will result in them being escorted out by security, which I now have to hire, adding another expense to my wedding. The hardest part of all this is realizing that my family will never see how wrong their actions are. In their minds, I'm still the villain for not helping my sister. My mom actually had the nerve to tell me that uninviting them from the wedding is a decision I'll regret for the rest of my life. Honestly, the only thing I regret is not seeing their true colors sooner. Update 2. I really thought after my last update that things couldn't possibly get worse. After the email fraud incident, I went completely no contact with my family and focused on fixing my wedding plans. We had to change all our vendors' contacts, create new passwords, and even switch some services to prevent any more interference. Then last week, I received an unexpected call from Mark, Carrie's fiancé. I almost didn't answer when I saw his number, thinking it might be Carrie using his phone. But Mark sounded different, his voice was shaking, and he seemed genuinely distressed. He asked to meet me privately at a coffee shop across town, insisting it was important. After what happened with the wedding planning, I was hesitant to meet anyone from Carrie's side, but something in his voice made me agree. Trent offered to come with me, but I decided to go alone. When I arrived at the coffee shop, I barely recognized Mark. He looked like he hadn't slept in days, with dark circles under his eyes and disheveled clothes. His hands were trembling so much he could barely hold his coffee cup. The truth he revealed was more disturbing than anything I could have imagined. Carrie's obsession with my wedding wasn't about the venue or saving money at all. She had been secretly in love with Trent for years. Mark found out that she only started dating him because he reminded her of Trent, same height, similar build, even similar professional background since Mark was also trying to start his own business like Trent did years ago. Mark discovered this by accident while helping Carrie pack some things in her room at our parents' house. He found a box of her old diaries hidden in her closet. Curiosity got the better of him, especially since Carrie had been acting strange lately, and what he read horrified him. The diaries were full of entries about Trent, dating back to when she first met him at a family dinner 4 years ago. But that wasn't even the worst part. Mark also gained access to her private Instagram account, one she had kept secret from everyone. The account was dedicated entirely to stalking Trent. She had thousands of saved photos of him from his social media, including pictures from before we were even dating. Some photos were from his old workplace events and college alumni meetings, which means she must have gone out of her way to find them. The account was filled with side-by-side comparisons of Trent and Mark, highlighting their similarities. Carrie had even made Mark change his hairstyle and start dressing differently to look more like Trent. She had written captions about how Mark was practiced for when she finally got Trent. Her detailed plans were the most chilling part. She had written out scenarios about how Trent would realize he was with the wrong sister at the wedding. She thought sharing the venue would create opportunities for them to be alone together. She even planned to recreate moments from Trent and my relationship, hoping to make him see that she could be a better version of me. Mark was completely devastated. He showed me screenshots from her private account and texts she had sent to her friends about her real feelings. He had already called off their engagement and moved out of their shared apartment. He felt used and manipulated, realizing their entire relationship was built on Carrie's obsession with my fiancé. When Mark broke off the engagement, everything exploded. Carrie had a complete meltdown, but instead of accepting responsibility, she and my parents somehow twisted everything to blame me. My mom called Mark's parents and told them I had poisoned Mark against Carrie because I was jealous of their perfect relationship. The story they're spreading is completely insane. According to them, I must have pursued Trent knowing Carrie had feelings for him. They've conveniently forgotten that Trent and I met and started dating before Carrie even finished college. My mom actually called Trent's parents and suggested that he should reconsider his choice because Carrie was younger and would make him happier in the long run. Things reached a breaking point when Carrie showed up at Trent's workplace unannounced. She created a huge scene in the lobby, crying hysterically and telling anyone who would listen that Trent had promised to marry her but chose me instead. She claimed they had been having a secret relationship that he ended because of me. Security had to physically remove her from the building. Trent had to explain the whole situation to his boss and HR department. While they were understanding, he still had to file a formal complaint to protect himself professionally. We've had to get a restraining order against Carrie because she kept sending him messages from different numbers and showing up at places she knew he frequented. My parents are still defending Carrie's behavior, saying she's just emotional and needs support during this difficult time. They've been pressuring Trent to spend time with Carrie to help her get closure. When he refused, they started spreading rumors in our social circle that he had led Carrie on and was playing with both sisters' feelings. We're documenting everything now because this situation has moved beyond just wedding drama into something much more serious. Trent is worried about Carrie's mental state and what she might do next, so we're taking every precaution possible. Update 3: The wedding finally happened last weekend, and despite my family's best attempts to ruin it, it was beautiful. But getting to that point was an ordeal I never expected to face on my wedding day. A week before the wedding, we started receiving concerning messages from different relatives. Apparently, Carrie had been telling everyone she was still part of the wedding. She told some people she was a bridesmaid, told others she had reconciled with me, and even convinced a few distant relatives that the whole drama was just a misunderstanding. I had to spend hours calling family members to clarify that she was not invited and would not be allowed in. We hired professional security for the wedding after Carrie posted cryptic messages on social media about making things right and showing everyone the truth. One post particularly worried us where she wrote, "Some brides don't deserve their happy ending." Trent and I took these threats seriously, especially after what Mark had revealed about her obsession. Sure enough, Carrie tried to crash the wedding. She showed up wearing a white dress that looked suspiciously similar to my wedding gown. We later found out she had stalked my social media and ordered a knockoff version of my dress from a cheap website. She tried to convince security she was me, claiming she was arriving early to prepare. When that didn't work, she started screaming that she was the real bride and that I had stolen her wedding day. My parents, who also weren't invited, attempted to sneak in through a back entrance to support her. They had told the venue staff they were bringing last-minute decorations. Thankfully, our security team was thorough and stopped them. My mom caused a scene, crying about how cruel I was to keep a mother from her daughter's wedding. Meanwhile, my dad was threatening to call the police, claiming we were discriminating against them. The most shocking part came after the wedding. While we were on our honeymoon, my cousin called to warn us that Carrie had booked the same resort we were staying at. She had told the resort staff she was my twin sister and that we had planned a surprise double honeymoon. She even created fake emails showing conversations between us about this plan. Fortunately, the resort contacted us to verify this story before she arrived. They were concerned because Carrie had requested access to our room information and schedule of activities. We had to explain the whole situation to the resort's management, who then canceled her reservation and added her to their security watch list. Through all of this, my parents have continued to enable and defend Carrie's behavior. They are telling everyone that I drove Carrie to desperation by flaunting my happiness and stealing her dream wedding venue. According to them, I should have been more understanding of Carrie's feelings for Trent because you can't help who you fall in love with. Trent and I have moved to a different city for his new job opportunity. We've blocked my entire family on everything: phones, email, social media, even LinkedIn after Carrie tried to contact Trent through professional networks. Some relatives tell me I should forgive them because they're family, but I can't forget how they enabled and encouraged my sister's obsession with destroying my happiness. Carrie is still single and living with our parents, who continue to support her financially and emotionally while blaming me for her failed relationship with Mark. Last I heard, she's telling people that Trent will realize his mistake eventually and come back for her. My parents apparently encouraged this delusion, telling her that true love finds a way. Trent and I are happy in our new city, building our life together, and I finally feel at peace without my family's constant drama. Sometimes cutting ties completely is the only way to protect your own happiness.